Hey, hey, it's your boy. Hey, it's your boy Juice from Get Home Safe, and tonight, hey, it's your boy Juice from Get Home Safe, and I'd like to add clarity to a lot of the platform and the things that we've created over the years. So, from the work that we've done and the people that we've helped up to this point, I've gotten a lot of questions. Hey, what's Get Home Safe? What do you guys do? Why do you exist? Where are you going to help? What areas have you done work in? What are you looking to accomplish? So, for the rest of 2023, 2024, 2025, who knows? Going to be adding clarity to the narrative of the work that we've done and the people we're looking to help, why it is that we're here, what we've accomplished, and all that good stuff. So, first question, because I have them written down because I've been asked a lot of questions over the years, and it's very smart to keep track of your questions, is what is Get Home Safe? So, Get Home Safe is a production company, LLC, that I bought out in 2018. And at first, we came together in order to create content. Now, when Get Home Safe, the organization itself, was made, there was a distinct need for mental health education and representation. So we started that with the hashtag Mental Health Monday. Mental Health Monday was a campaign that we did every Monday in terms of posts. You could go back on my page if you want to check the receipts. And the whole point was for us to be vulnerable. So me, Ryan, and Coop, we came together, and every Monday for most Mondays in the year of 2019, we created posts on vulnerability. What's my day going like? What am I feeling? Why may I feel this way? And how am I handling what's going on with me? And creating that vulnerable space led to other people feeling they could be more expressive with their feelings towards the group that I was working with, and maybe one day the people around them. And you got to remember, this was around the time that mental health was more of a thing that people were aware of what it might be, but there wasn't a lot of clarity. There weren't a lot of businesses in the space like BetterHelp or other businesses that have to do with therapy, folks getting their resources. There were a lot of community resources on the back end, especially in DC, which I was glad about that. But those resources would be like group therapy, and certain people may have been looking for like, hey, can I get one-on-one therapy? What does that look like, and where are resources? So 2019, still same LLC under the name Twin Hearted Script, but we do business as Get Home Safe. And the point of Get Home Safe is for us to be a community outreach organization that like creates mental health content. So what does it look like to create mental health content? You have to define things like, for example, what's depression? For example, what's anxiety? What does it look like? How does it affect a person? When someone is in the midst of dealing with that, how do they deal with depression or anxiety? And at that time, the reason I'm saying depression or anxiety, those were our two main topics of discussion when we first started. And we also did a couple of outreach events in DC in 2019, in DC and in Philly at that time, called Mental Health Monday, where folks can shop for their therapists. So at that time, we not only made therapy accessible in terms of how we advertised the therapists that we worked with, but we also made therapy more digestible. We had events at bars, so folks would come out to drink, and there would be like a line of people looking to talk to a therapist that they either may be interested in, may be curious about, or have always wanted to ask questions on what should I expect from a therapist, or what should I expect from someone who is trying to get therapy, which is very important because for a lot of folks, when it comes to getting therapy, therapy is in many cases a first time thing. So, for example, when you go to get therapy or you're looking for someone to be your counselor as a therapist, do you know the right questions to ask? That's things that we've made content on, and we're probably going to bring that content back because we're hearing a lot of stories of people either feeling let down by what they expected from their therapists, uncomfortable with how their situation may be handled, or not understanding what their rights are when it comes to getting therapy and how they need to be treated, and the right questions that you as a client are allowed to ask. So within 2019, that first year, which was a year that we made sure to align ourselves with therapists. So we had other therapists in the community that we were working with who we not only had access to, but these folks were our friends. So we got to talk to them, we got to pick their brains, and me being an advocate, not a therapist, a person who was working with therapists. And my position as an advocate is I'm advocating for the client and for the therapist. So I'm not just, hey, we have these therapists, you should go get therapy. It's, hey, what are you dealing with, and do I or the organization that I'm working for, do we have the right fit for you? And when it comes to the therapist, on my side, the other half of the fold of the work that I do, it's about, hey, do you have any availability for a new client, and are you in the state that they're in, so when they do reach out to you, you're actually able to help them, and not just be a simple conversation of, yes, I'm a therapist, yes, you can get help from me, but no, I actually can't serve you because I'm not licensed for that state, which is a situation that we try to avoid if possible. Because if someone reaches out to me for help, I'd either want to be able to give them someone that they could directly talk to, because person to person is much different compared to an app, even though some people prefer that, but that's not how our business works. And we saw a change. I think by that point, at the end of 2019, we probably got about a little bit under 47 folks in the therapy, people who were either inquiring about it, people who thought about it, and outside of just folks who came to our events that ended up getting therapists and tapping into therapy, we had situations where like people were actually reaching out to other therapists outside of like our consortium of what we had, which is a great look, because like we don't want to be the end all be all resource. We want to be a resource, a trustable resource that folks can reach out to and say, hey, if I have a friend and they told me they're bipolar, do you know what bipolar is? If I don't know, we could do the research together. After doing the research together, I'd reached out to one of the therapists who I do work with and said, hey, do you know what this is? What does that look like? What should we be looking for? Because we don't want to diagnose. We would like to just be able to recognize what's going on, recognize, hey, are we handling this situation correctly, and recognizing, hey, what we don't know, because what you do know is just as important as what you don't know, and what you don't know points you in the right direction of who you need to reach out to or what direction you need to head in to educate yourself when it comes to mental health or what other people are going through. 2020, we all know what happened in 2020. We had to pivot, so we went from doing about a little bit under, I think we did a little bit under 23 events. We did a couple of mental health pop-ups where folks could shop for their therapists in Philly. We did a really big event over at Sandlot back in that day. We had an event, I think we had a little bit under 450 people that pulled up to Gold Grill Fest, which was the first cookout competition to my knowledge where folks can shop for the therapists. We had folks that were doing massage tables. We had 3 to 4 cooks that were cooking in the competition to figure out the best cook in DC at that time. And you know, that was a beautiful event that we not only curated, shout out to Roger, one of the folks that we did it with, and you know, we really came together as a community. And community is so important because in my work as an advocate, it's very important to give your community a voice. And what does giving your community a voice looks like? That's going to be a video for another day, because today we're just trying to define what's Get Home Safe and the work that we've done, which I think is very important. That's why I have everything written down on index cards, because index cards are helpful for stuff like this. Like, am I a good speaker? Sure. Do I have a good train of thought? No, not at all. This is good. Forgot I had these over to the side. So, Get Home Safe is a production company. We are not a non-profit company. We're a for-profit company, but even though we are a for-profit company, all money that we've made off of merch has gone towards new equipment for interviews that we've done. Across my platform, I know a lot of people have seen the interviews that we've done on people that are directly dealing with suicidal ideations, people that are directly dealing with depression, folks who are directly dealing with anxiety, and folks who are directly dealing with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, and ADHD. That's like the four cornerstones of our platform. And I don't want to go too far outside of that. I welcome anybody who wants to share their story or what they're going through, or for their voice to be heard within the community, which is very important. That's not, I'm not gonna say no to that, but I'm not gonna claim to be a professional on the topic. No, I'm an advocate. I'm not gonna claim to have education on topics outside those things. Nope, still advocate. I'm did the research, make sure I talk to the people who are going through it, make sure I see what that looks like up close and from afar, and hear their expectations, and talk to the professionals that deal with it to see, hey, how has that been handled from the lens of a professional? How has that been handled from the lens of someone who's in it and that is their reality? How should I handle it, or make space or advice to handle it as a friend that is trying to be there for a friend? Because community starts with trust, starts with friendship, and hopefully it starts and ends with consistency, which is very important to a lot of the work that we do. So we're a for-profit company, but we don't make enough money for folks to be like, oh, they're balling. No, we're not balling. We are about the work. Everything that I do is volunteer time, including, I think we've got about 225 folks in the therapy within the 4 years of work that we've done up to now, which is super important. It's not super important because it's a large number, and we've probably done better numbers than other organizations that have like millions and billions of dollars in grant money or anything else like that. But it's important because each one of those numbers represents a relationship of someone who's picked up the phone to say, hey, I'm in therapy now, thank you for all your content. Picked up the phone to say, hey, I need someone, do you have someone that's a good fit for my situation, and opened up and told me about their situations directly. Those numbers are people that I expect to come back if they do need more help, or at least know, hey, if they ever want to grab lunch or they want to just sit down and talk to me, we could shoot exactly what we need to shoot in the conversation, and that'd be good for either everybody involved or just, making space to be heard. Because in a lot of where mental health is now as marketing, it's lost that mental health is about being heard and hopefully being understood as you're finding understanding in your situation yourself. And then where do you go from there, and what does that look like? Because mental health is a measure of, are you healthy mentally? So like, are you in a good place? Are you in a bad place? If you are in a bad place, where does the middle look like? If you're able to work your way to the middle, how do we keep that consistent? And then what tools do we need to give you in order to give yourself to work into where it needs to go all together, which creates a great ecosystem for anybody who's going through what they're going through. And sometimes having the tools are important. Sometimes having the people understand your tools and your triggers and how they work, and why you need the tools, and how you change your environment in order to get what folks would call better, or just having a good baseline of what good looks like for you and why that is good for your situation or for whatever's going on. So at first we went about mental health outreach, and majority of the work that I do is about mental health. And then within 2020, 2021, we incorporated wellness. And when it comes to mental health, that's about what's going on up here. That's about, how are the gears turning? Are they well oiled? If they're not oiled, what kind of environment did you grow up in, or what have you gone through that have turned the gears into what they are? And when it comes to wellness, wellness is about, how is your body dealing with, let's say, the frustration, because not everything is trauma. Some things are frustrations. Some things are emotions and how they manifest within your body. So when it comes to a lot of people who we've done work with, shout out to Lilu Yoga. She does great, amazing yoga classes, cannabis yoga, or elevated yoga, as they like to call it out here in DC, where it's a mix of yoga and cannabis, and the benefits of what that does for the human body and the people who are involved in that process as they're doing yoga. And I've taken a couple of those classes. They've been beneficial. So hey, what can you say? Or shout out to Jazz. She's a part of a platform called Saving Space. If you look it up, as Saving Space for You on IG. And they're about making space for folks who want to get into wellness intentionally when it comes to yoga and what that looks like. And the reason we incorporated that is because there was so much of a focus on mental health when we first started. We realized by that point when it went from the team, which was me, Coop, and Ryan, and then the summer of 2020 when it broke apart and it was just me and a couple of folks. Shout out to Makina Media. He does all the edits, and he's handled a lot of our content with grace, so I appreciate him for that. It's become, okay, how do we make a space for people's voices to be heard? How do we make a space for mental health to either be understood, and if not understand, how do we bring clarity to what's not understood? And outside of how do we bring clarity to what's not understood, what does wellness have to do with mental health? And do those two things relate? Are they separate from each other? Is wellness necessary? And for a lot of what we do on our side, it's about, hey, I'd rather folks have the tools and have access to the tools and see what the tools can do for them, because that's very important for a lot of the work that we've done up to this point. So now it's about mental health and it's about wellness, and those two things to me are separate and they relate to each other and they're necessary because it's a whole ecosystem. And therapy is not going to be for everybody, but having access to therapy, having access to the folks who can help you, having access to an understanding of information or relatability of information or a different perspective and lens on the information, that's very important to the work that we do. And then when you add in wellness, that's the physical component of where in your body is the tension from what you're dealing with. What has that done to you? What is there a reason that you grind your teeth? What can you do to relieve that? Is there a reason that your shoulders may be tense because you never relax them? What can we do to release that or help you work on that? Because when it comes to finding healing or finding peace, it's the process of going through day in and day out, month in and month out, years in and years out, because it's not a simple fix for everybody. And it's about progressing into a better place than where you started, or giving you the tools to help you work through where you would like to be. And then the third component of Get Home Safe in terms of the work that we do and what we target is the community. So it starts and ends with the community. And the community is the stories of the people who have gone through what they went through before Get Home Safe was ever created. What did anxiety look like for them? Have they had panic attacks? What does depression look like for them? Did it take them to a dark place? Suicidal ideations, where did that come from? When did that thought process start seeping in and looking like the better option compared to living? And also when it comes to suicidal ideation, I think there's this mistake that we make as a people and as a public where we assume if you have a suicidal ideation, it's because of depression. If you have a suicidal ideation, it's related to anxiety. And sometimes people just don't want to be here anymore. So it's not so simple as this is why they have it, this is why they want to do the thing. No, it's a culmination of things. It's not always a simple fix or a simple reason. We tell ourselves that because we want to help ourselves understand, but what you find is when we lose people or things have changed drastically, we are running the race of trying to get back to what the norm was before we lost them, and we don't do enough as a people or as a community to understand what they were really going through and how we could not repeat this again, and what does a better life for the people who are still here from either the mistakes of us or the person who's no longer here. How do we fix that and make better and not make the same mistakes we may not have been aware of? And that's very important to the work that we do. So when it comes to interviews, the reason for interviews is I didn't build this platform by myself. This platform is built on the shoulders of the folks who I ask for time, the folks of people that have pulled me to the side to let me know about their situations, the shoulders of the therapists I've done work with, the shoulders of everybody in wellness that I've done work with. And I wanted the interview to be their voices. Do I lead the interview and ask questions? Of course, but in everything that I've advertised or all the work that we've done up to this point, it's been about who can you reach out to who's not me, because I love to look forward to people looking past me and looking past me gets them either closer to the answer, and if not, back to me, so I can reach out to like whoever they need or whatever resource they may not have the right language to look for. And that's so important, because it's very easy to ask for one thing and not realize you're given another thing, because there's hope. And sometimes what hope does is hope shows you what you want, not what you need. And my job is about, can I get them what they need? And hopefully it becomes what they want for themselves once they receive that thing, which is so important. And when it comes to so at the end of the day, Get Home Safe is a production company based out of DC that we've turned into a still for-profit organization. We haven't made any funds. All sales have either gone towards equipment, it's gone towards covering people's therapy, which we've done a Hug a Homie campaign last year, and we plan on bringing that back in March, so I'm looking forward to what we can do with that. And we are a community outreach program in DC that's based in mental health and wellness and the community itself, and we're looking to educate. So there's probably going to be a whole bunch of videos about what it is that we're doing, defining a bunch of things, whether it's depression, what that looks like, from the lens of the work that I've done, not correctly, but from the lens of the work that I've done directly with folks, what I've learned, what I plan on learning, what we plan on doing, why we're doing the things that we're doing. And I'm here to ask the 5 big questions: what, where, how, why, and who. So it's your boy Juice from Get Home Safe. I hope we added some clarity. Hopefully you guys could like, subscribe, comment, or follow whichever platform this goes on. And I hope everybody has a good night, morning, whichever one. We'll see. But thank you for coming, and I appreciate your time. See you next time. Peace.